Kuh.
201 Group Battle.
Kucha. Kucha.
The leading edge of our team and the red ants at the front of the enemy's team collide. Shortly after the front lines meet, the battle fully begins. Really, as predicted, it's hard to distinguish between friend and foe. Your senses start to get overwhelmed just by moving around a little, even if you're roughly aware that your own teammates are by your side. It is even more so when looking at intertwining red ants. You could lose sight of who's an ally in an instant. You could be attacking an ally in front of you but also leaving an opening for the enemy behind. Ball Rabbit would be able to distinguish between them using telepathy, but it can't be done for very long during a melee fight. One momentary mistake in judgment could result in a fatal outcome. However, I cannot let my hands rest. Now, the number of enemy red ants has exceeded 30 bodies. It doesn't look like the enemies coming out of the nest's hole will decrease. While we have a total of 30 red ants here, the 5 ants that went on ahead still haven't shown themselves. Considering that I'm not participating, the red ants here appear to be far weaker in strength. If I don't lend a hand, it is clear that the red ants on my side will be annihilated. If I let my ants fall, I cannot obtain experience points from them. It seems to me that I will not be able to destroy the red ant nest by myself. Suddenly, a vision of the large centipede dumplings being taken by the red ants comes to mind. Even if I used the poisonous dumpling strategy with the aim of weakening the red ants, by time the effects would have kicked in, the death penalty for Nina would have already been carried out. Besides, as a result of the settlement with the queen ant, I will need to cooperate with the red ants. I need to make sure my judgment doesn't cause a mistake and create more pointless deaths. After hesitating for a moment, I decided to temporarily withdraw from the battlefield. You cannot look at the enemy as a whole if you are standing at the forefront. There are times where you may become surrounded without noticing. It's too wide here. Well, once I step back, I'll just have to play support until things settle down. If you stand in a position where you can view the whole frontline calmly, you won't mistake enemies for allies. There is no need to worry about being killed for even a moment of hesitation. The battle should become more advantageous if I use high rest on the red ants for recovery, and I should be able to obtain a bit of experience if I use wine slash when there is an opening. It won't be much experience from just one, but in that case, all I need to do is hit them all with my wine slash.
Gwun.
Please keep track of the situation on the left side, partner.
GAA?
Leave it to me, it'll be okay, you know? After that, I head to the front line to see the situation. As expected, due to the difference in number, our side seems to be pressured. However, every red ant is already focused on the enemy in front of them. They haven't paid much attention to me, even when I had moved back a little.
Kacha.
The enemy red ants jumped at my red ants. My red ants respond with clay gun. An enemy red ant cowers after taking some gravel to the head, but a second red ant slips out from the shadow of the first ant. In the narrow space between my own red ants, I fired wine slash at the enemy that jumped out. It seems that red ant was already wounded earlier, since it rolled a few meters and stopped completely after being hit. 126 experience points was obtained. Due to title skill Walking Egg, LV, an additional 126 experience points was obtained. Level of Ouroboros has increased from 15 to 21. It seems like things may be efficient like this. After all, levels rise easily at the beginning. If I'm able to get out of the low levels using this strategy, I feel like I'll be able to take on the red ant's nest by myself. Since I've gotten a feel for it, I fly around the battlefield using flight while shooting wine slash from the air. I concentrated on shooting wine slash and my partner focused on ally support with high rest. I used a status check to find allies dangerously low on HP for recovery and shot wine slash at enemies that are already low on HP to finish them off. 112 experience points was obtained. Due to title skill Walking Egg, LV, an additional 112 experience points was obtained. Level of Ouroboros has increased from 21 to 23. 117 experience points was obtained. Due to title skill Walking Egg, LV, an additional 117 experience points was obtained. Level of Ouroboros has increased from 23 to 25. It seems like the experience points are gathering steadily. Even dust piled up bit by bit can become a mountain. Although things seem well, the red ants have the auto-regeneration, a skill. It's mostly the case that they go back and recover before being taken care of. I'll be beaten up if the paralysis wears off and I carelessly chase too far in and become surrounded. There, my win slash will deal the final strike. Clay Gun seems to be a little lacking in speed. High Rest manages to make it in time, so overall there is little damage to the red ants, but as the red ants keep coming from the nest the numbers still seem antagonizing. However, if this state continues, the other side will eventually run out. I'm able to limit the consumption of my own MP while the allied red ants still have some leeway to wait for me to come. While my MP is enormous, the red ants' MP will disappear quickly just by spamming Clay Gun and auto-regeneration. Since this fight may go on for a while, I don't want to reduce my red ant allies' MP as much as possible. While fleeing and continuing to battle, I took out over 20 red ants with Wind Slash. The skill level of Wind Slash has risen from 3 to 5, the skill level of High Rest has risen from 3 to 6. My level has also increased from 25 to 41. This is better than expected. If I was raging in the red ant nest on the other side, I would not have gained this much experience. However, things have gotten difficult for my MP. This repeated situation of using High Rest, once then waiting for my MP to recover has been going on for a while. My red ant allies seem to be hard-pressed now that the frequency of support from me has slowed down. Still, the enemy red ants continue to pour out. Over 50 enemies have already been beaten, but without interruption they continue to gush forth one after another. Things will get a little tougher if it continues to increase at this pace. High Rest and Wind Slash are now starting to become more difficult to use, so it may be time to go up to the front line. While thinking so, 5 more red ants popped out from the ground near the enemy's nest. The red ant allies were surprised. It's probably the part of the army that went around to the other side. It seems that they went into hiding by digging a hole and waiting for the right time to come out. The red ants jump quickly into the enemy's nest. The enemy red ants try to follow, but it's already too late. From the entrance of the nest, the 5 red ants cried out simultaneously. The entrance to the nest collapsed and crushed the 5 red ants. Some of the enemy red ants are also dragged in and crushed at the same time. So it was a special battalion that went around to the other side.
Kacha.
The red ants on our side are pleased to see the entrance of the opponent's nest collapsed. These red ants seem to be indifferent to the life or death of their colleagues. It may be because of the perception of how useful they are as limbs of the queen. This might be a bit rich coming from me since I had sent the poisonous dumplings into the nest, driving it to the verge of destruction, but it's a bit of a complex feeling. It may have become advantageous with this, but only the entrance has been collapsed. Since red ants have the tunnel skill, a new exit will appear soon and they'll come out. However, it will not be for a while. We can definitely annihilate the last of the remaining ants. They may be creating another exit, but at least it cannot be seen from here. It will take some time for them to get here. 202 storming in. The battle above ground soon ended. With the opposing red ants' reinforcements exhausted, their battle formation immediately collapsed as they jumped toward us all at once. Everything after went so smoothly that I didn't even need to raise a finger. It might perhaps be a standard battle tactic amongst red ants. We have 20 red ants that survived. Of the ants that have perished, we've exhausted 5 here and 5 more from the flanking unit that got swallowed up in the collapse of the nest entrance. I counted around 80 dead bodies from the opposing red ants lying about the area. We've suffered 10 casualties while they've suffered 8 times that. It was a good fight if I do say so. Even if the opposing ants' nest was larger, we should have taken out more than half of their fighting force. For now, I'll check my status. Irushia? Species Ouroboros. Status, normal. Level, 41/125. HP, 842/1156. MP, 51,112. Attack, 509. Defense, 362. Magic, 546. Speed, 410. Rank, A. Characteristic skills. Dragon Scales, LV7 Voice of God, LV4 Grisha Language, LV3. Flight, LV7 Dragon Scale Powder, LV7 Dark Attribute, LV. Evil Dragon, LV Automatic HP Recovery, LV8 Presence Sense, LV5. Automatic MP Recovery, LV6 Double-Headed, LV Split Spirit, LV. Resistance Skills. Physical Resistance, LV5 Fall Resistance, LV6 Starvation Resistance, LV5. Poison Resistance, LV5 Loneliness Resistance, LV6 Magic Resistance, LV4. Dark Attribute Resistance, LV4 Fire Attribute Resistance, LV3 Fear Resistance, LV3 Oxygen Deprivation Resistance, LV4 Paralysis Resistance, LV4 Illusion Resistance, LV3 Instant Death Resistance, LV2 Curse Resistance, LV2 Normal Skills Roll, LV7 Status Check, LV7 Scorching Breath, LV5 Whistle, LV2 Dragon Punch, LV3 Plague Breath, LV6 Poison Fang, LV7 Paralyzing Poison Claw, LV6 Dragon Tail, LV2 Roar, LV2 Star Drop, LV2 Nutcracker, LV3 Humanization, LV7 A Wine Slash, LV5 A Neck Breaker, LV4 High Rest, LV6 Auto-Regeneration, LV5 Traveling Companion, LV Title Skills Son of the Dragon King, LV Walking Egg, LV Klutz, LV4 Simple Fool, LV1 Infighter, LV4 A Pest Killer, LV4 Liar, LV3 Evasion King, LV2 Spirit Relief, LV9 Tiny Hero, LV6 Path of Evil, LV7 Disaster, LV7 Chicken Runner, LV3 Chef, LV4 Mean King, LV6 Gutsy, LV4 Big Eater, Giant Killer, LV3 Pottery Craftsman, LV4 Group Leader, LV1 Laplace's Interference Authority, LV1 One Who Knows Eternity, LV Finally hit for digits, huh? That's a rank for you. Attack and magic easily manage to get to a whopping 500. With this kind of MP, I should be able to humanize for 20 minutes. No, considering automatic MP recovery, I should be able to maintain it continuously for more than 30 minutes. I don't remember much of that hero's stats since I only managed to get a glance of it, but I'm certain that I remember him having more than 600 and something. The average could have been just around 600. I'm not too sure. It's not like I have no chances of winning, but it's likely that this is going to be a fairly hard fight. The focus is on how much I can level up from the second half of this fight. With these stats, I should be able to solo all the red ants in this nest. And if my partner does her job, then my blind spots are covered as well. It might be a good idea to have the red ants stand next to me to prevent being flanked. Anyhow, let's keep proceeding. My team of red ants begin to dig out the entrance that had collapsed in order to continue the attack inside. Looks like round 2 is going to be taking place inside the opponent's nest. After a considerable amount of digging, the red ants start to grow more cautious in their movements. It seems like the opposing red ants are just on the other side, which is making them act more cautiously. I think it might be that if they go about opening the entrance poorly, then they'll lose the ability to make a preemptive strike. Hold on, with my attack and speed being where they are now, couldn't I just burst right in there with a surprise roll? Guo dash! I bark at the red ants. The ant commander looks back at me. Kacha dash? In a way, I think the commander's attitude has become more rounded out in both his tone and manner of voice. Ball Rabbit, if you would be our interpreter. At once, part. I make move. The commanding red ant cocked his head to the side in wonderment, but afterwards called out to the other red ants. The red ants scattered off to the left and right. I backed up till there was a sufficient distance for me to accelerate. I twisted my head, dropped the ball rabbit, and caught it in my mouth. The ball rabbit, who has gotten used to it, offers no resistance, though there was a resigned look in its eyes. GA dash? Partner looks at me in wonderment. Curl up. Ball Rabbit conveys with telepathy without missing a beat. While also anxious, partner drew in her neck. I kick off the ground, fly into the air, curl up my body, and roll straight ahead. Thanks to my status increasing, my speed feels completely different. So this is the world of roll at 400 speed? It'll probably be difficult to control if I give it my all, but right now all I have to do is barrel through in a straight line. I plunge into the collapsed burrow entrance. My body slams directly into the massive wall of sand. The huge recoil rocks through my entire body. After that, the whole area around me suddenly goes dark. Seems like I was able to safely breach the red ant's nest. I continue barreling on forward without slowing down. Kacha dash. Kacha dash. Kacha dash. I counted 10 nearby red ants that I knew I had blown away. 604 experience points was obtained. Due to title skill Walking Egg, LV, an additional 604 experience points was obtained. Level of Ouroboros has increased from 41 to 45. That was about 4 taken down? I continued to cut through the middle of this darkness even though I couldn't see my surroundings. In the middle of my roll, a wall appeared in front of me. I did not come through a dead-end passageway. The opposing red ants probably used clay to construct this. I continued rushing towards the wall without stopping. The inside of the passageway tremored as the wall collapsed. Next, there was another wall that also collapsed via my brute force method. After being slowed down from smashing through 3 walls of clay, I uncurled from my roll to regain my posture. Even though I'm fully capable of using roll again, the nest is more likely to collapse before I can take down my opponents. It would be better to fight normally from here on out. I spit the ball rabbit out directly above me and catch it on top of my head. Pefudash. Ball rabbit uses light, setting afloat a few small balls of flame that illuminate the immediate surroundings.
Kacha. Kacha. Kacha.
I see a group of red ants on the other side of the collapsed clay wall. There looks to be no more than 20? Taking into account the nearly 10 ants that were too late in getting away and fell victim to my roll, then does that mean there were about 30 or so of them waiting in here? It's about time that we run out of red ants here. 110 experience points was obtained. Due to title skill Walking Egg, LV, an additional 110 experience points was obtained. Whoa, what just happened? Glancing back behind me to check, I see my army of red ants coming up from behind. Seems like one of the red ants that had been weakened after I sent it flying was stabbed by a finishing blow from some reinforcements that had split off towards me, causing me to gain some experience points because of it.
Kuh.
203 The Underground Battle. I confront the red ant army. There are about 20 of them, but that amount makes no difference to me. Can I push through in one go? Kuchakachaka. An unpleasant cry resounds from the depths of the passageway. A large, stout red ant appears. It's leading a large number of red ants as well. More reinforcements, huh? This is considerably bigger than the previous nest. It seems like this won't be easy. That big red ant, is it the captain? Although I can't understand the red ant's facial expressions, it looks composed. I do not know the exact number due to the rows of enemy reinforcements continuing around the corner, but it seems there are less than 30 ants. I fire Wind Slash at the approaching red ants. Instead of firing it directly at them, I aim at the floor near them. By aiming the blast wave indirectly at their feet, I can limit their mobility. Unlike outside, if it is this narrow passageway, then there is no need to worry about losing sight of the enemy. Even if the enemies line up side by side, 3 shots of Wind Slash can cover the entire width of the passageway. The red ant's clay gun is their specialty, but the blasts from Wind Slash can deflect it. If this is the case, I will have the upper hand. I can one-sidedly shave off the enemy's HP. Be that as it may, my MP is running severely low. Even if leveling up raises my max MP, it is meaningless unless my MP is replenished. Since I have automatic HP recovery, is it okay to take a little damage to my health instead?
Kacha. Kuka.
The red ants on my side have caught up to me and have begun shooting clay gun at the enemy. It is adequate cover fire. As a whole group, the enemy red ants are exhausting their strength. Every time they fall, Voice of God announces the amount of experience gained and level ups.
Kucha.
Judging that they were at a disadvantage, the enemy red ants forcefully attempt to draw closer. However, there is an unreasonable amount of sacrifice being made in order to move forward. While the enemy was shortening the distance between us, a large number of them fell victim to the clay gun shots from behind me. Just when I thought that we had gained the advantage, more enemy reinforcements emerge from the passage once again. Much to my dismay, it doesn't look like this battle will end anytime soon.
Kacha.
The enemy red ants in the front row finally lunge at me. I use my arm to knock them down, but it will not be over that easily. Following the first one, they rapidly begin throwing themselves on me. Even though I have the advantage in the fight, it did not make up for the difference in numbers. Right now, I don't have much MP left. If they get past and attack the red ants behind me, we could be instantly defeated. I spread out in the passageway and deal with the enemies on the right side. Let's leave the left side to my partner, though I am a little uneasy about it. Even if I can't beat them all, if I flip them, the red ants can finish them off with their covering fire. The fight lasts nearly 10 minutes. Although there were difficulties along the way, my red ant army took little damage and supported me on my left side, which prevented us from receiving any fatal injuries. The ally red ant captain was fighting in front of me, but when its leg was damaged by an attack, it was dragged by its allies back into the passageway to recover. Because it was a long fight, I had lost concentration and was about to be attacked by an enemy who had entered my blind spot. With great timing, Ball Rabbit alerted me of the threat with telepathy. The enemy red ants fell one after another, and this seems to have been noticed.
Kacha?
It's that big red ant. I wonder when the big red ant will come, but the enemy red ants are not moving. It was a little further behind from the center of the group. It was clear that, until now, the red ant's intentions were to carry out suicidal attacks. The big red ant looks around in shock. That is the captain, right? My red ant captain was fighting on the front lines, though. Well, their fighting methods seem to differ depending on the red ant in charge. There are many different types of leaders. There are those that inspire and fight with their troops at the front line, and those that give instructions from a safe position, but surely both are good leadership styles, right? Well, I wouldn't really know.
Kacha!
The big red ant turns around and flees. I jump on its back. My partner's head hits the ceiling, but it's okay. I impale it with a claw and flip it while throwing it onto the ground. 135 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 135 bonus points obtained. Ouroboros level has risen from 54 to 55. The amount of experience is not very high. As expected, it wasn't a very good leader. Normal skill Death, LV1 acquired. This does not seem to be a good skill to use. Just in case, let's check its details with Voice of God. I have not examined a skill in a long time. Normal skill Death. A form of dark magic that reaps the target's life. It is powerful, but often fails. The consumption of MP is very large. The success rate varies depending on the difference between the user's and the target's magic levels. Oi. Was recovery magic not my strong point? It's something like a death spell, though. Moreover, this is useless in regards to what is essential for recovery skills. After this, I am going to learn recovery skills, right? Or rather, I was the one who learned death, right? If my companion learned it, I would be terrified. It would be like a boss AI in a game that keeps using the instant death spell and wasting all of its MP. For now, none of the allied red ants have fallen. Some have had their bodies crushed by stray bullets from clay gun, so I use high rest as an emergency measure to save them. Their bodies are still in poor shape, but if the red ant's MP recovers later, they should be able to heal up with auto-regeneration. Even though the enemy red ants have been continuously sending reinforcements, they suddenly stopped. This is the enemy's base. There is no reason for the news to not have been spread. It seems that they must have run out of reinforcements. My level has risen considerably too. Now, I just have to take the head of the queen ant to finish this. 204 End of the war. This is the innermost part of the red ant's nest. The passage ahead spreads out into a whole room, with it being the only place with a suspiciously high ceiling. 6 red ants appear. Then, a red ant with a body much larger than the rest comes into view, standing in the middle amongst them. There's no mistaking it. That's the queen. Race, Queen Red Ogre Ant. Status, normal. Level, 43/70. HP, 496/496. MEP, 184/184. Her status checks out as well. She still has all her MP. The Queen Red Ant has an area of effect type of recovery magic, but there are only 6 of her ants left in the nest, so that's not going to be too much of a threat. She's not going to be moving well with her abdomen being bloated like that. Queens probably aren't battle types to begin with, though. Her area of effect recovery magic will likely play a role in healing her returning troops as well.
Kacha. Kuka. Kacha.
The enemy red ants peek over towards us intimidatingly. However, none of them spring at us. They should know that they have no chance of winning with the 20 ants waiting behind me. While waiting isn't helping anyone, the other side isn't moving either, making any sort of actions difficult. I turn my head back and see the Commander Red Ant scowling at me. He's probably telling me to hurry it up. I turn and face forward again. I see. It is her nest. I was going to go forward with my plan soon, but it fell behind schedule. It is unfortunate that I'd postponed such a sizable victory. I thought she was going to migrate quietly, but I'm certainly impressed that she's managed to figure out how to bring a dragon onto her side. The Queen Ant says that with telepathy and then shakes her head. No, I think that might just be a coincidence. Though it is also possible that she really was planning to migrate. Tell her that victory is hers. The queen ant declares her defeat. The red ants that stood around the queen, protecting her, now bow their heads down limply.
Kacha.
Something pokes my back, so I look behind me to see the commander red ant. Something seems wrong. All of the other red ants have already retreated near the entrance. Just what is this? True, I could probably handle this alone. But there's no need to retreat so far back.
Kacha. Kuka. Kuka.
Almost everyone calls out to me, including the commander ant. Why are all you guys in such a hurry?
Kacha.
The 6 red ants surrounding the queen all cry out at once. The large room began to shake violently. The commander red ant starts quickly running off toward the entrance with the rest.
Huh? Wait, what's going on?
Peffu peffu. Ball rabbit beats my head like a drum. I finally realized that the queen ant was going to commit suicide and bring down the whole room with her. The red portions of earth that were made with clay that were supporting the huge room seemingly erode. If I try to go for any experience with the situation as it is now, I'll be buried alive. While it's unfortunate that I'll miss out on the queen ant's experience and all, I've gotta book it. I turn around and run after the commander red ant. Partner suddenly turns her head back around.
Hey! Stop that!
You're getting in the way of my running.
Gee.
When partner barked, a black light suddenly appeared and headed towards the ant queen. The black light wraps around the queen ant's head and immediately disperses. 688 experience points obtained. Title skill Walking Egg, LV, activated, 688 bonus experience points obtained. Ouroboros level has increased from 55 to 57.
Ooh. Was that death just now? That was quick thinking.
Because the queen was fully prepared to die, the skill easily succeeded. Level of title skill Mean King has increased from 6 to 7.
Well, sure.
Whatever. Honestly, I'm starting to think that it's useless to be bothered about these title skills. I kick the ground and take off flying low across the huge room. Loose earth covers the ground of the room as it collapses in on itself. I thought the collapse would affect the passageway, but for now, everything seems fine. After that, I simply went back the same way I came. Tomorrow, I'll be fighting against the hero with my level as it is now. Honestly though, I still have a few concerns. While my status is fine, there are still a lot of people in Harani. Will it really be okay to fight in a place like that? It only makes sense that there will also be people there who'll back the hero up. Plus, I have no idea what'll happen when it comes to Adofu. Perhaps it would be better to have him run away.
Kacha. Kucha. Kuka.
Hearing the red ants' lively cries, I raise my head. The red ants look to be carrying elongated red ovoids on their backs. Huh? What are you guys doing? That isn't food. Are those cocoons? I go right to where the commander red ant is. Hold on a minute. What are all you guys doing?
Peffu? What that? Kacha.
Kami, the commander red ant responds. Bring home, raise them.
Ah, I see.
That must be tough. They'll just die if they're left alone. So yeah? It's better this way. While I could come up with various ideas and what have you, I'm not going to interfere with this. I'll just let the red ants do their red ant things. If possible, please assist.
Ooh.
Thanks to the queen ant, I did collect some experience points at the beginning, so it wouldn't be too bad to lend a hand, however. I can't help but feel like I'm a kidnapper's accomplice.
Kuh.
205 report. I follow along with the other red ants, who themselves are following the red ant commander, and return to their nest. I finally arrive at the innermost part of the nest where there is not much space. The red ants line up the crimson cocoons that they brought back side by side along the ground. I open up my mouth and spit out the cocoons that had been tossed into it. This feels rather disgusting.
Tui.
A total of 40 cocoons were brought back to the nest. It would seem that the most red ants that the other nest could raise at any one time was 40. Shouldn't it be possible to raise 1 to 200 at a time? If they did increase like that, then they could have red ants covering the whole world. However, if they can lay up to 40 at a time, then why are there only 200 in the nest? Is there a limit to how many eggs a queen ant can lay in her lifetime, or does this desert have a high ant mortality rate? It might be quite some time until the next larvae hatch. Of what was carried back, the red ants brought back 20, I brought back 10, and partner brought back 10.
Huh? What's wrong?
Partner, hurry up and spit them out already.
GAA?
Partner barks and opens her mouth, revealing nothing inside of it. No way, you're kidding me, right? I decided to quietly leave the cocoon vault and head to where the queen ant is. Let's quickly give the queen ant our farewells and get the hell out of here. As I enter the passage, I glance back just enough to look over my shoulder. The red ants move their forefeet back and forth ever so slightly as they count the number of cocoons, tilting their heads. I'll pretend I didn't see anything. I remember where the queen ant resides, so I don't need anyone to show me the way. I'll raise alarms if I wander around without permission, and I really don't have time for that right now. I head straight to where the queen ant is. There are 2 red ants next to the queen ant, one on either side of her. Upon seeing my figure, the 2 red ants stoop down in caution. However, the queen ant objects to their actions and the 2 red ants withdraw. Thank you for your hard work, I heard the report. 10 soldiers injured this time with 40 snatched cocoons. I promptly clear my thoughts and proceed to think about something else. I didn't want news of partner's screw-up to leak out if possible. Though it's only a matter of time. The queen ant tilts her head curiously. It seems we've managed to not reveal it with telepathy. Did your level rise to your satisfaction? The queen ant asks somewhat anxiously. She may have become anxious because I resisted her telepathy. Let's not do anything unnecessary from here on out. I know that you're wary, but you can be rest assured that I no longer have any intentions of attacking you. Though I feel I've been used, I expect this to be sufficient enough for my goals and I'd rather give you my thanks instead.
I see. That's a relief.
Actually, I know of another red ant nest. No? I'll set that aside then. Are you thinking that you'll be able to expand your army even more by picking up cocoons again? I was suspicious about whether my real purpose was to crush the rival ant nest or not. Plus, the red ant queen over there did seem to know the red ant queen over here as well. This is a ridiculous thing to say to someone who attacked our nest, but you did help me as well. If there's anything you need, call us. We'll be there to lend you a hand. I don't think I'll have the opportunity to do so since I'll be leaving this desert soon. If anything, I feel her true intentions are really, I'm reluctantly lending you a hand. Please don't take it. Individual has acquired title Skilled Soldier Ant, LV Max.
HM?
Title Skilled Soldier Ant, LV Max has changed into Commander Ant, LV1. Level of Title Skilled Commander Ant has increased from level 1 to level max. Title Skilled Commander Ant, LV Max has changed into King Ant, LV. Some strange skills popped up, but well, it is like I contributed to overthrowing a sizable country. It would seem that within the Red Ant Society, one can actually advance upwards through their own merits. Becoming king of the ants and living underground. Yay, I don't know about that, but it does sound like it would be a little fun though. This is going to affect my evolution, isn't it? That's gonna be a little annoying. After parting ways from the Red Ant Queen, I left the nest and flew up into the sky. After flying around for a while, I could see a marsh in the distance. The marshes in this desert are created by large slugs who usually hide behind a mirage and lure others in by showing them the illusion of an oasis. In other words, being able to see the marsh must mean that the large slug who lived here had been subdued recently. It's very likely that Adolfo did it. I head towards the marsh and eventually see the figure of Adolfo sitting on the edge of it. He doesn't seem like one to be fooled by a mirage. No, is that the reason? Water is still water even if it is muddy. It's still a better resting spot than sitting around in this hellish desert. He may have moved here after deciding that he could make this a decent landmark of sorts for me to spot. Adolfo looks up at me and stands up as I, in turn, land down in front of Adolfo. The promised day is coming up tomorrow. So, you ready?
Guo.
I nod my head. While nodding, I think. Is it really a good idea to take Adolfo with me? Adolfo's arm is in no decent shape for fighting. With Adolfo's testimony, there certainly is the possibility of pulling down that hero's support. Although it's a tall order, it's worth a shot. At least to some extent. From what I've been hearing thus far, I think it's much more likely that the hero will try to dispose of Adolfo by preparing to sow distrust into the crowd, thus giving way to the possibility of forcibly manipulating the crowd. If that happens, then the only choice left will be to fight. If we battle in Adolfo's current state, then it's possible that he could die in vain. How about I head to Harani alone and keep the hero at bay while retrieving both Adolfo's relatives and Nina? Wouldn't something like that work better? However, that plan wouldn't clear him of the false accusations and could possibly leave him with a looming weight over his head for the rest of his life. Don't look so worried, Adolfo says while looking at my uneasy face. I'm sure I'll tear down his support. Have some faith in me. He had no hint of hesitation in his eyes. Good. I nod while thinking about it anxiously. While it may not be realistic to separate the church from the hero, it's also true that if we don't do something about the problem, then we won't be able to find anywhere for Adolfo's relatives or Nina to stay. Kuh. 206 The final key. I fly low along the ground and head towards Harani. Ball Rabbit is riding on my head and Adolfo and 2 red ants are riding on my back. I never thought I would receive help from the red ants, but things have changed and here we are. I ended up quickly caving in. It's nighttime and it's pitch black. I have to get to Harani before noon tomorrow. I'm flying at a low altitude along the ground so that I don't get spotted before I enter Harani. Why don't you enter Harani by changing yourself to look like a human? Adolfo had shot that suggestion at me yesterday. I was a little worried, but eventually I agreed. If I march right in as a dragon, I'm going to immediately cause a commotion just by appearing. If that happens, then we won't be able to use Adolfo's strategy of sharing his testimony in front of the people who've gathered for the execution in order to destroy the hero's backing. My MP usage is going to be strained, but there's no helping that now. Adolfo did say as well that if he pulls it off well enough, then there won't be any fighting. All the effort I've put into risking my life to level up would be wasted, but having a safety measure in place is a decidedly better idea. With my current status, as well as taking into consideration my automatic recovery skills, I should have nearly an hour. I'll continue moving forward towards Harani. Then, when I get close enough, I'll use humanization and continue moving forward on the red ants. They allowed me to choose the 2 fastest ants in the nest. The differences between their speeds could be chalked up to margin of error. While it sucks that I won't be able to challenge the hero in peak MP condition, the only skill that is an outright MP drain is humanization. My MP became critically low in the battle with the red ants, but that was in the beginning when my level was really low, which meant that my maximum MP was pretty low as well. Because MP doesn't restore itself upon leveling up, my maximum MP and remaining MP then were miles apart. But this time is different. It's obvious that this will be settled before I even use up 1000 MP, which means that that won't be the bottleneck here. Is it already the next day? Before long, the sun starts peeking out over the horizon. The deadline will come when the sun hits its highest point in the sky, high noon. Huh? Who coulda? Adolfo mutters. Following the direction of his gaze, I see what looks to be a man crying over a horse. Wait, isn't that one of the Harani soldiers I fought before? His name was... His name? What was his name again? I recall seeing a well-rounded head whose shape was easily seen through a turban. Ah right, he's Hagen. His favorite horse ran off. After that, I remember seeing him in the distance riding on top of a camel. And it now seems like they managed to reunite. There are no signs that they've noticed me and there's no reason for me to get involved. If I do get involved, then there's a good chance that I'll give myself unwanted trouble. Why is he here? Adolfo's eyes widen and his mouth hangs open. Was Hagen an acquaintance of his? Well, they are soldiers serving the same country. Do they know each other really well? He head towards him. Please. Adolfo says that with some excitement in his voice as he points at Hagen. He even seems to be losing his composure. Did they have a really close relationship? He was supposed to have died after failing to subdue an evil dragon. Irushia's testimony, I thought Hagen had been killed by Irushia's hand long ago. However, there must have been some kind of slip-up and Irushia missed something. Translator S note. Oh, that's so? But what does that have to do with anything? If Hagen is alive, then we can drag out all of Irushia's lies, one after another. He'll go mad from all the base accusations that he can't lie his way through or distort. His words, everything, will have no consistency. If that happens, then not even the church would be able to protect him. Wait, seriously? You're telling me that bald loser over there is actually that important? I'm glad that we managed to come across him. If anything was different than I expect, we would have easily missed him. If you had told me, then I would have put some serious effort into searching for him. No. Adolfo had no doubt in his mind that Hagen was dead. There's no way he would have even thought to ask. I'm sure that Adolfo, who said that he was an escaped, condemned criminal, won't be able to reach the crowd alone. So it's great that we now have a new witness here. Looks like there's still some hope. I don't know how he let Hagen slip, let alone leaving a mistake like this unfixed for all this time, but this is an opportunity that we won't have again. That certainly is something to be worried about. If Hagen's existence is able to completely flip the situation around, then why was such a man left unchecked and out here in the open? If all the stories I've heard about that hero from Adofu are true, then I don't think he'd be the type of man to shy away from killing people to silence them. I think that it might be a trap, but I don't have enough information to make that call. However, strange things like this sometimes just happen and can't be resolved through conjecture alone. Because Adofu, who knows much more about the situation than me, is happy to show no restraint, it might be better if I don't harbor any more doubts. For now, I'll just be on alert. I promptly switch course and decide to head for Hagen. As I draw near, I can see that his horse has been seriously injured and is lying on the sand. The part of the horse's hind leg near the hip area had been gouged out and is bleeding profusely. It was probably done in by a monster. Hagen had fallen to his knees and was placing his hand near the injury, shedding tears. Maria.
Small Maria.
I thought he was with someone else, but I fear it's probably just the horse. Didn't that horse abandon its one-time master and run away? Though Hagen doesn't seem to care about something like that. That's unexpectedly gentlemanly of him. Maria also turns an envious gaze on such a master. Rest. God damn it. Light emits from Hagen's hand, healing the horse's injuries. However, the wound doesn't close up. Anyhow, should we try contacting him? Once I get close enough to him, I let out one of my usual attention-grabbing roars. Gjord. Hagen looks over his shoulder at me, stands up, and begins screaming while running away, suddenly abandoning his horse. As for the horse, she looks on intensely at Hagen's back with a dumbfounded expression plastered across her face. Yep, you two are really made for each other. 207 to Harani. Hagen tripped over his own feet and fell down on the spot. Hagen gasped exclamatorily as he looked up at me with his butt flat on the ground.
Why? Why are you here, Adofu, sir? More than that, why are you mounted on a double-headed dragon?
Hagen seemed to hesitate on whether or not to call Adofu sir. Well, whatever. Since Adofu isn't exactly in the best position right now, there's nothing I can do about it. You can drop the sir. I'm no longer the captain of the knights. I'm just an escaped prisoner now.
Shit.
Hagen gets up while pulling a short sword from his waist and faces Adofu, who's standing on top of me. The tip of Hagen's sword trembles with unease. Lower your weapon, Hagen. I'm not here to fight you. Do you know what happened to the other members of the evil dragon subjugation squad? Yeah, those guys left me for dead and scurried on back to. They were all attacked by the evil dragon and died. That's what Irashia said.
What are you saying?
That's ridiculous. I heard it was you who told Irashia that, Hagen. You never met up with him, did you? If I had met him, I wouldn't be wandering around in this damn desert.
Almost everything you're saying is just nonsense. I see. I get it now.
Adofu pauses for a moment before continuing on. You were thought to be dead after all. Being left in front of an evil dragon, anyone would have thought you'd be dead. However, they missed something. As Adofu says that last word, he turns to me. I give him a subtle nod. In any case, Irashia believed the false report and put your name out there as the captain.
So, what you're saying is...
Let me be abundantly clear, Irashia framed me. He probably also killed the other evil dragon subjugation members as an excuse to take me out.
And no.
The hero Irashia would never do something like, anything like that.
He would never go that.
If I'm lying, then there's no point in having this conversation to begin with.
Follow me.
I, at least, want to hear your story. Hagen didn't believe Adofu at first. However, as Adofu explained everything once more, Hagen gradually came to an understanding. Hagen seemed suspicious from the start about the murder case that Adofu had supposedly been a culprit of. So, the double-headed dragon there is the evolved form of that evil dragon from before? Does that mean I failed to notice as well? Hagen says while drooping his head. All right. I'll help you. Because even if I were to return as normal, I'd likely be killed to keep the story straight. Finally, Hagen came to an understanding. The horse's, Maria's leg injury was completely healed with a single, high rest from partner. While getting up, Maria glared at Hagen like he was a pile of trash. There was a guy in my previous life who said something about how it's difficult to regain the trust of an animal after you've lost it. However, the one who committed that act first by running away from their master and leaving them to die was you, Maria. With Ball Rabbit, Adolfo, the 2 red ants, Hagen, and Maria on board, I head toward Harani. It's become awfully noisy. Dragon, would you wait outside the city? With Hagen being there, it's unlikely that talks will break down into battle. If you're worried about how heavily guarded it is, we can push through, even as we are now. I'm sure we'll absolve that beast man girl of her crimes. I shake my head. If bad luck befalls us and we time this poorly, we could end up exacerbating problems and reopening wounds that were almost healed. But I really don't think that a discussion alone is going to put an end to all this. While I don't know how this is going to play out, I just don't think that I'll be able to wait outside until things are over. I see. After that, I once again fly low for a few more hours, aiming for Harani. Eventually, a number of boulders arranged in a circle come into view. That's nostalgic, I've seen this before. It's the magic circle meant to ward off evil monsters. Finally, something that indicates that we're nearing Harani. I feel a tad uncomfortable, but it won't be a problem, or so I thought until Ball Rabbit fell off my head. I hurriedly catch Ball Rabbit and land on the ground. Phew! That's something really no-like. Just like what had happened before with me, is that thing affecting them the same way? I'm not all that affected, though. Could it be because of my almost complete lack of monster-like instincts? Kuka. Kacha. Wywian. The red ants and Maria also fall off of me. Is it really that bad? Should I go around it? What am I thinking? The formation likely encircles the entire city. It'd have to. There'd be no point if it didn't. If we can get through this perimeter, then that should get us outside of the effects of the powerful monster warding formation. So if we get through this perimeter, we'll be good? If that's the case, then sorry, but can I carry you guys in my mouth? Guo. I give partner a quick glance. After that, I stretched my neck out and scooped up Ball Rabbit and one of the red ants into my mouth. Kuka? The red ant's voice cried out, but the Ball Rabbit didn't even make a peep. The poor thing didn't like it at first, but it got used to it. Partner copies me and sticks her tongue out to the last remaining panicked and confused red ant, scooping it up into her mouth. Don't eat them like you did last time. I'm serious. While feeling the ant squirm around in my mouth, I break through the magic circle's perimeter. I land once again and let Ball Rabbit and the red ant out of my mouth. When the morning sun began to peek out from over the horizon, Adolfo said that it would be better to stop flying soon, so I descend onto the ground and began running. Before long, Harani was in sight. I crouched down and continue moving. After approaching to a certain extent, I let Adolfo and the others down. I can't get any closer with this dragon body. After everyone gets off of me, I use the humanization. With the skill being level 7, it should be much better now. Heat courses through me as my body becomes smaller and smaller. GAA? Gaff. Partner's neck twists and contorts as she flails around. She might be afraid of what will happen next. I should have told her beforehand through the Ball Rabbit. While my body was in the middle of shrinking, I suddenly had a bad premonition. Won't my head and partner's head remain the same size after the transformation? I promptly grab partner's head with my hands and push her into my shoulder, pushing it in with a lot of force. Gjord. Forgive me, partner, but if this keeps this up, I'll end up with 2 heads at this rate. Partner's head has softened now since we're in mid-transformation. As my body continues transforming, the accompanying head gets smaller and smaller, and by the time my height was that of a human's, it had completely disappeared. Whereas I previously should have towered more than 2 meters over him, my eye level is now lower than that of Adolfo's. I think I'm a good 170 to 180 centimeters tall now. I reach my hand around to the back of my head. I have hair. I comb it between my fingers and bring it forward. My hair is white and long enough to come down to my shoulders. It's likely because Ouroboroses have manes. I look over my body. It looks solidly built, but not as much as it did before. Though there are some scales here and there, it looks much closer to a human body now. My skin looks pale and my claws have become much more preferable as nice and pointy nails. Obviously, I don't look like a normal human, but I should be able to pass as a demi-human in this world, right? While I can't imagine how things will play out, at least now I won't be blasted with magic without being questioned first, or at least I shouldn't be blasted first. While I was feeling around on my head, I noticed that I still had horns.
Hagen, please lend me your cloak.
I need to hide my face.
I'm sure.
Hagen throws his cloak to me. It folds up as I catch it. This thing is pretty long, isn't it? Adolfo takes off his cloak and wraps it around his body like a robe. I imitate the way Adolfo wraps himself with his cloak and conceal my head and body.
Kacha!
The red ants rush up to my feet. I get on top of one of the red ants with Ball Rabbit tucked under my left arm and my right arm placed on top of the red ant's back. Adolfo was already riding atop the other red ant and Hagen was mounted on his favorite horse, Maria. Maria wore a face of pure disgust. Maybe it would be better to switch him out with Adolfo? Me think they just pouting. Yeah. If only that were the case. But guesswork is guesswork.
Kuh.
208 A Certain Hero's Tale 9 I Russia. The day has finally come, Father. It is with great sorrow that innocent people will die today, but this is the law, there's no way around it. Let us pray that at least their souls shall have salvation. The priest silently glowers at me.
Why the scary face?
The subjects for today's capital punishment are for the escaped felon, relatives of Adolphus that are no more than twice removed from him. It would be just right for the church. After I spread false rumors about suspicious and disturbing movements coming from Adolfo's relatives, the priest was sure to have been planning to do something about it. That's just a little cherry on top though. You know that we have been put under pressure as of late with the release of the beastmen slaves from Ardizia. To perform something like the public execution of someone from the beastman race at a time like this, that's no different than dragging the church's name through the mud.
Just what are you thinking?
As soon as you sour up. Here we go again. It will be fine. We don't have to listen to what that lot in Ardizia has to say. At any rate, as long as I'm here, they can't bring anything bad upon Harani. It would be a problem to set a bad precedent in letting criminals run wild inside our city. Let's stand firm, Father. Beastmen, that Felis Huma girl. It's a bonus that she's going to be executed today alongside Adolfo's relatives. I protected her when she collapsed in the desert as I was on my way to subjugate the evil dragon. After that, she came to the conclusion that if she were to return to Harani, she'd be sentenced to slavery again, so she conspired with Adolfo. The two of them betrayed my goodwill, poisoned and weakened me, and then tried to kill me. I was in danger of being knocked out cold as it came down to a struggle between me and Adolfo. Although Adolfo was mortally wounded, he managed to get away. The wound I received was also terrible, so I had to give up on subjugating the evil dragon. I only managed to catch the beastman girl and bring her back to Harani. With my kind and indiscriminate heart, I asked the church to release the beastman girl. However, the crime for turning one's fangs against the hero is a grave one. My request was not accepted and the death penalty was ruled. Since I am bound to the priest for the peace and order of Harani, I accepted the results, weeping. Of course, the reality of it all is entirely different, but that's how the public version is. It sounds a bit inane, but it's good enough. I come off as good-natured and inexperienced hero with a strong sense of justice. I stop by a small window that the priest passed and looked down on the town. A crowd had already gathered around where the execution is going to take place. Look at that. Before long it will be time to move. The priest looks at me with an annoying air as wrinkles drew themselves across his forehead. It would appear that he didn't like this matter very much. You're a conservative and a selfishly problematic old man. It would behoove you to keep your head down and look the other way to keep yourself alive a little longer. That said, I'm not willing to go out of my way to help you with that. Even with that, I'm fine with keeping an eye on small problems like that. If everything pans out, there's a chance that the plague dragon will come to Harani today. I'll be making an image for myself that I wasn't able to start with because of the circumstances surrounding the church. If the plague dragon rampages in the town, then the church will bear responsibility for the mess for postponing the subjugation despite the hero deliberately turning back. I just can't help but look forward to seeing what kind of face that lowlife that's had her head held down as a lone slave all their life will make. Those small-time knights that usually carry themselves around me with calm and collected faces and that foolish priest. The color will drain from everyone's faces. Even if some people die, it'll be fine as long as I clean it up quickly. While it's true that I seldom have trouble with B-ranked monsters, it'll be fine if it turns into more or less a struggle. I can spare at least that much. It'll put on a better show if it looks like I'm fighting with my life on the line. I hope you come, Plague Dragon. It is worrying that it had Voice of God and a status check, though. If it was looking through my status, then the likelihood is high that it thought that it had no chance of winning and became scared and had run off long ago. Back then, it looked like it was throwing its life away to protect that slave, and that time has come around again. But, provided it's not too stupid and has time to think, then it won't do something as absurd as that. Well, if it doesn't come, then it'll be time. I'll provoke it by placing dead bodies in a spot that can be easily seen from far away. If that dragon evolved and managed to reach a rank, then that would be a bit troubling. However, there was quite a gap between its current level and its max level. It's extremely unlikely that it'll reach its next evolution in the span of just barely a single week. It's not going to be successful recklessly raising its level and such that many times in a row. I've also done those rash things, to the extent that several of my companions have died in vain. No, those were blunders. I was also inexperienced at the time. If you act too much of your own accord, then I have some considerations. Don't think that the church will cover your ass forever. You say that to me all too often. Without the hero, the Church of Harani would be worthless. Because of that, you can never cut me off. That's a terrible thing to say, you know. Speaking of which, at the beginning of this matter, was Adolfo not marked with a prisoner's seal? Rather than me, wouldn't the church be the one needing its ass covered? Yes, even Adolfo would not have caused such a stir if he were properly marked with a seal, right? I feel truly sorry for you for that. There's no reason for me to believe so. I've even verified it myself. Are you sure you should be saying that so loudly? If any of this leaks outside these walls, then you, Father, will also be held responsible for the ensuing wildfire. The church had marked Adolfo's back with the prisoner's seal. The prisoner's seal has the power to limit the actions of the subject. I insisted that there was no prisoner's seal on Adolfo's back and accused the church of having some reason to not mark him with one. If I didn't, then the story about Adolfo striking back at me wouldn't be logically consistent. Have you determined who's responsible for this yet? Through this, have you also come across anyone suspect of trying to use Adolfo to kill me? I was practically at death's door because of that. The priest made his face even more stern. Few people have the authority to handle a prisoner's seal. For the mismanagement of this case, he can't cut off those in lower positions. I'm looking forward to seeing who the priest will cross out. Kuh. 209 A certain hero's tale 10 I Russia. 10-odd crucifixes line the heart of the execution site. Fastened to them are Adolfo's relatives and the beast-man girl with pieces of cloth tied around their mouths. All of them wore sorrowful, seemingly helpless expressions. I stand alongside the knights between the crucifixes and the townspeople so that I can clearly see their faces. What a nice view this is. The result of bought-out security. It is a privilege of church officials to be able to see it up close. It would have been interesting if there was someone here who would show more anger towards Adolfo, but it seems that phase has come and gone over the past few days. Right now, everyone is just trembling with the color drained from their faces. It's a shame I can't hear them beg for their lives and what have you with their mouths gagged, but I can't have them causing me trouble from talking too much. At any rate, no one's going to scramble over here to rip them off. Though, it is also tiresome pretending to get injured every single time. Whenever they conduct executions in other countries, they cover their heads up with sacks. As for me, I don't like that because I wouldn't be able to see that last moment of regret on their faces. And as for the execution method, an executioner selected from the knights goes around and beheads those on each crucifix with a sword. There's no more to it than that. Beyond that, I think it's also effective as a deterrent, as it's better to make an example of these people by killing them after tormenting them. Maybe next time I could try proposing something to them since they have nothing left to lose? Although, it won't be easy to get them to follow through with it since they're stuck in their boring superstitions, like how dying on one of those by blade will purify their tainted souls or something. I look up at the sky. The sun was now right overhead. The evil plague dragon didn't come after all. So that's how it's going to be. My beliefs at that time were wrong about that evil plague dragon. There's no reason for a dragon to come all this way to die for the sake of a single girl. It probably got a little excited after just killing Adolfo. That's the unfortunate impression I get with how well things went for it. That can't be helped, but there is another opportunity for me to throw a monster at Harani. Though, if I summon it, they'll trace it back to me. What should I do about that? It'll be a big problem. The executioner walks up to the crucifixes. He turns himself and faces the townspeople, raising his sword to the heavens. These people are grave sinners who have done great harm to Harani. May their corrupted souls come to be more pure through death. I cover my eyes and hide my face as I almost yawned. That was too close for comfort. I almost zoned out there for a second. Suddenly, I hear the sound of someone's foot stamping hard against the ground. Bewildered murmurs begin rising from the townspeople. I drop my hand and look forward. I don't spot anyone who I'd expect to make that sound. From the side, I hear the sound of swords clashing. I turn my head. There's a man with his face concealed by a cloak that he's wearing like a robe. It's an attack. A knight, defeated, is already down on his hands and knees. He's not just some small fry, he intentionally waited for me to let my guard down.
Why the hell do you have a knight's sword? Hey you! Who the hell are you?
One of the knights raises his voice, pointing the tip of his sword at the assailant. The assailant has a large sword in hand with a knight's crest engraved on it, the same kind Adolfo had carried. Did they loot it from his corpse in the desert? The man threw his cloak towards me. I unsheath my sword and cut the cloak with a sideways sweep. The cloak flutters in the air, its top and bottom halves pulling away from each other. The man wasted no time in approaching me. He created a blind spot for his body by making use of the cloak so he could jump in towards me while being concealed. A great stunt, but slow. You're inferior to me. I immediately assume a stance. With this distance and the differences between our speeds, I could position myself lackadaisically and still have room to spare. Should I stab him in the shoulder and have a knight finish him off? The split cloak falls to the ground, revealing the assailant's face. My body completely freezes up. Adolfo?
How are you still alive?
No way, he managed to recover from that state? Seeing that I had stopped moving, Adolfo alters the trajectory of his sword. The tip of his sword dives toward my face, coming for it. It would probably only cause a minor injury, but I don't want any gashes on my face. My sword won't make it in time and he's also too close. However, if he really is Adolfo, then he'll be stopped by the prisoner's seal. I kick off the ground and jump back while shouting. Grovel! The momentum vanishes from Adolfo and the large sword parts from his hands. Adolfo's body fell from his shoulders to the ground. With a delay, the large sword strikes the earth's surface. The knights rush over to me. Sir, I rush you. Are you all right?
Phew, yes, I'm fine.
More importantly, capture him.
Why did that guy fall over? What was that just?
The acolytes approach from the side of the crucifixes. I only just realized it when I saw the acolytes. I should not have used the prisoner's seal. Not here. Not in this place. Among the acolytes, one of them engraved Adolfo with the seal. Even though I should have played this role perfectly, why did something like this happen when I should have lamented? Maybe a good opportunity arose for the escaped prisoner Adolfo to prove his innocence by returning? That might be what he's thinking. As I expected. So you did set up the church to be inept about the seal. I was thinking you'd do something like that. Adolfo spilled out while being seized by the knights. So from the beginning his goal was to get me to use the prisoner's seal? Power spontaneously fills the sword in my hand. Calm down, I rush you. Even if you cut him down here, it won't change anything. After all, Adolfo will be executed later. The acolytes were looking at me suspiciously. Me, who was supposed to have pointed out their defective seal, instead relied on the seal as a first measure when I was attacked by Adolfo. Wouldn't it be natural to also be suspicious? One of acolytes approached me. Sir, I rush you, forgive my impoliteness, but I'd like to ask you something if that's. Please save it for later. Put him in jail promptly. Let's proceed with the death penalty for the sinners. But about that, if Adolfo has returned, then I think it's reasonable that we ought to hold another investigation and then reconsider the punishment for his relatives. To begin with, these punishments are used as deterrents for cases where the person in question cannot be punished directly, particularly so for this case, which also has numerous worrisome things about it. So, if the person in question has returned and there's room to investigate them, then. But nothing. Such thinking is unnecessary. Return to your original positions. Right now, one way or another, I have to earn time. If even a little bit of time passes, then the details become that much hazier and it will give me a grace period to think things through slowly. If that happens, I can even falsify about the seal's details in any manner I want. I turn my eyes to the priest. ***, do not be upset. The revolt has already been subdued and we will resume carrying out their sentences. Transfer the assailant to a jail cell. Following the priest, the acolytes return to their original positions. The townspeople and the acolytes look at me with suspicion in their eyes.
Shit, that damn Adolfo. I never thought that I would have failed in killing him. I didn't think it would be my undoing that I couldn't confirm whether or not Adolfo survived due to the lack of experience acquisition from the cursed sword's finishing blow. He's a stubborn one, pestering me to the very end. Well, it'll be fine. This is about the only thing that can do something like this. They won't get hold of any kind of conclusive evidence. Later, I'll have the priest dispose of Adolfo's corpse, and that will be the end of that story. Sir Russia? There's something I'd also like to ask you. Pushing aside the townspeople, a single man came out in front. Commotion rises all around. W.H. Hagen? H. How did you? I heard that you cared for me as I was dying. I won't assent to you putting this off. I want you to tell me everything about where my men, who should have escaped earlier, have gone. I should have been more aware of the possibilities. It was a dragon, after all, that seemed to get along well with beastmen. Hagen wasn't killed by it. What I heard from the beginning was a misleading report. What is the meaning of this, Sir Russia? I also would like to request an explanation from you. One of the knights presses me. The acolytes, who had returned to their posts, come up and approach me, taking advantage of the opportunity. Rather than postponing it, I think it would be better to talk about it right here to clear up any misunderstandings. Especially now with all the townspeople's prying eyes. A dark cloud looms over my head. Here, at the most inopportune time. Things couldn't be worse. I never thought that both Adolfo and Hagen could somehow still be alive. Ignoring Adolfo, who's got blood on his hands and has lost his credibility, Hagen is really bad news. He must have gotten in contact with Adolfo and then the two of them came here. That being the case, he should know of the matter between me and Adolfo. At any rate, I need to have Hagen removed from in front of the townspeople and have him thrown in a place where there are no prying eyes and somehow come up with a reason for it. Why is such a slip-up only just coming out? Now, proceed with the execution. Can't you hear what Father said? I'm the one who wants to be told about Hagen. We must ascertain anything regarding him afterwards. While I don't think he would ever run away, there is still the possibility that he's a transformed monster in disguise. For now, put him in jail. I'll be in a fix if he keeps saying whatever he wants, more so than he already has. I just have to arrest him so that he can't go out roaming around and then give a good reason for the priests to dispose of him. If it all works out well, then that will be all I'll need to do. So long as I admit to minor fibbing. The problem will be in coming up with a reason for why I lied, but if that's it, then so long as I have time, I will see to it that it's mended properly. My reputation will drop, but that's the price I will have to pay. Get a move on. Even upon hearing my words, the knights did not move. They look at each other's faces, bewildered. What are you all doing? I'm telling you to get to it quickly. Stand up straight and do your jobs. Stop wasting time and seize Hagen. Are you all even listening to me? I should still be alright, damn it. I should still be alright, so why aren't they moving? I looked to the priest, sending him a visual cue. The color drained from the priest's face as he looked at me. You think I'll get involved? You are but a fool. The priest squeezed that out in a barely audible voice. The moment I heard him say that, blood rushed to my head. The knights aren't moving, the acolytes are suspicious of me, and the other church leaders have gone taciturn, following the head priest. G. I look over my shoulder. All eyes were on me. No matter where I look, it's the same sight. My head grows hot. My thoughts are cloudy. Do they already know? I'll retreat quickly before they become certain of their suspicions and immediately make my exit from Harani. Will I ever come back here again? And move. I shove away the shoulder of an acolyte and walk briskly. I'm telling you to get out of the way. I don't feel well. Don't look at me like that. I push aside a knight blocking the way and keep moving forward. Oh, open a path. Out of the way. Get out of the way. Hagen chased after me and grabbed a hold of my shoulder. Hey. If you run away, you're done for. Even if... Get your filthy hands off of me. I draw my sword and frantically swing it. Hagen falls over. I turn my sword to Hagen's back as he tries to crawl away on the ground. The tip of my sword trembles with anger. If it wasn't for him, none of this would have gone awry. It's because of this idiot that I'm in this kind of unsightly situation. There'll be no way to mend this as long as Hagen is alive. I don't know what I should say. Killing Hagen here, in this place, would only exacerbate my problems. But on the other hand, so long as Hagen is alive, there'll be no way to mend this. If that's the case, then the least I can do is clear my mind. That's enough, I rush ya. Completely fade to white. Subdue your emotions. Besides, there's no one that can stop me if I seriously rampage. Kill Adolfo, kill Hagen, and leave Harani. That will be enough. I don't have any attachment to a place like this anyways. If anything, I'll take the head of that priest who called me a fool. As I brandished my sword in anger, someone again broke through the crowd and jumped out. Unexpectedly, I thought it was another person that I should have killed, but I didn't recognize them at all. A man with white hair and pale skin. No, this guy isn't human. Guguo! His body rapidly swells up and transforms into the shape of a dragon. The evil plague dragon didn't run away. It took the form of a human and hid itself. I'm saved. I can still manage. There's still light at the end of the tunnel. If the evil plague dragon goes on a rampage here, everyone will turn their attention to it. With everyone lost in the confusion, I should then be able to kill both Adolfo and Hagen. If I can do just that much, then what comes after will practically fall into my hands. A tumultuous dragon is a mere trifle compared to something like the exchange just now. A large dragon head appears and bares its fangs at me. It will be very troublesome for me if it dies right away. It will be far more convenient for me to have it violently and thoroughly rampage. Should I agitate it by teasing it lightly with one of the Harani soldier swords instead of the holy sword? I drive my sword into the dragon's mouth and slash it. The dragon's mouth closes, catching and stopping my sword with its fangs. It's stronger than I thought. I can't pull it free. While straining my arm and holding it taut to pull out the sword, I noticed that the dragon's face was blue. This isn't the plague dragon? Gae! A second dragon appeared, together with a roar, ready to headbutt me. I let go of the sword, but I won't make it in time. Should I kick hard off its head and jump back, giving myself some distance? Boofadash? The moment I put my feet up, my vision spun and I saw stars as I nearly blacked out. I felt an enormous impact on my back. I'm late to figuring out that I was slammed into the ground and sent flying by my opponent's overwhelming strength. The screams of people can be heard from all around. Hi Resta. Light envelopes my body, relieving me of the pain. When I look up, I see not two dragons, but a double-headed dragon. What the hell is this? Did you? As if responding to my inquiry, the two heads roared simultaneously.
Cơ hở 210.
Rematch with the hero. What are you all doing? I'm telling you to get to it quickly. Stand up straight and do your jobs. Stop wasting time and seize Hagen. Are you all even listening to me? The hero angrily shouts, ordering the surrounding soldiers. However, not a single one follows his orders. A nervous vein pops in his forehead as he desperately looks around. The way things are going according to plan is almost disappointing. Adolfo revealed himself, exposing the hero's lies, and Hagen pressed him for answers until we hit this point. The result, the hero seems to have completely lost the trust of the people. Though the hero is ranting and raving as much as he is, no one appears to defend him. Looks like he's at the end of his rope. I turn my eyes to where the crucifixes are lined up. On the first one at the end, I see Nina bound to it. By the looks of it, Nina doesn't know what's going on as she has a confused air about her, but she still watches attentively at the unfolding situation with hope glimmering in her eyes. It's over. With trust in the hero having been lost, Nina should be freed. Afterwards, in accordance to the laws of this country, the hero will also be judged. With all the crimes he's guilty of, there's no way he's getting away with an acquittal. Adolfo's wrongdoer will finally wait, hold on, if that hero runs away, is there a single person who can catch him? I mean, sure, Nina and Adolfo's relatives will probably be rescued, but in the end, won't it be impossible for Adolfo to avenge his fiancée and his younger brother? I'm telling you to get out of the way. I don't feel well. Don't look at me like that. The hero forces his way out of the execution site. He's going to run away, just like that. Oh, open a path. Out of the way. Get out of the way. Hagen chases after the hero and grabs hold of his shoulder. Hey. Do you think you'll get out of this by running? Get your filthy hands off of me. The hero drew out his sword and swung it wildly. Hagen stumbled back and fell over on the spot. Hagen twisted himself around, his back now facing the hero, and tried to run away while getting up. With Hagen's back now facing him, the hero turned his sword towards it. This guy's going mad. That's not a threat, his eyes are serious. He's out of his mind. At this rate, Hagen's going to be killed. I took Ball Rabbit, who was in my arms, and put them on the ground. I then kicked off the earth and jumped forward. With that, I cancelled my humanization in midair. Within an instant, my body swelled up, returning to its original size. From here and there, screams flood in from all directions. Some people may get injured while escaping, but it's Ball Rabbit's job to treat their injuries. According to Adofu, many people used to keep them as pets as they're smart, not prone to violence, and they look adorable. And it seems that most of them are immediately let go due to mounting food expenditures. So, Ball Rabbit shouldn't have to be too wary around humans.
Guguo.
When I roared, the hero turned the tip of his sword from Hagen to me. I caught the swinging blade, firmly clamping down on it with my fangs. The hero tried to pull the sword out, but I clenched down with my teeth. I can't afford to let go at this point. His movements stop. I ask partner to take care of the rest.
Gae.
Partner rushes headlong into the defenseless hero. The hero takes his hand off the sword and nimbly jumps back. I raise my foot. It looks like he's planning to kick off of partner's head to use the momentum to get away. The hero's foot makes contact with partner's head. I thought he'd be able to dodge my foot, but in the next moment, the hero's body is violently pummeled into the ground. It's probably because I overwhelm him in strength. Getting a solid level increase has paid off. While he's lost among the crowd of townspeople, I went and checked the hero's status, confirming that I exceed him in all stats. However, the hero has skills that have the ability to physically strengthen him. I took away one of his swords. However, he has 2 sheaths on his waist with another sword still sheathed. I don't think he'll be going away quietly like this. I perform a twisting throw with my neck and hurl away the sword that I held in my mouth. The sword ended up stuck deep into the ground. For the sake of Adofu, I can't let this guy run free. I might even be the only one in the whole country who can fight this guy. I'll kill the hero. This guy isn't someone I can let run free to do whatever he wants. What the hell is this?
Did you?
While the hero stands up, he readies his second sword, the sword that gave me quite a blow the first time we met. This sword likely means that he's going to get serious.
Go. Guai.
Partner roars at the same time as I do as I leap upon the hero.
Quicker.
When the hero shouted, light wrapped around his body. Speed-enhancing magic? There aren't many dragons with the same name as I. So you evolved, did you? That was truly unexpected. Furthermore, you've brought me quite the terrible souvenir. The hero points his sword at me. However, if I kill you here, then I can still fix this. Haha. How enormously unlucky I am for you. Seems that you went through quite a bit of trouble to help that slave, but you couldn't have timed your entrance any worse. You are a claw-brained fool of a dragon. Sure, if I didn't go out, that hero would have lost all of his reputation anyways and Nina probably would have been released without a hitch. It's very likely that by me having come out that the series of events that both Adofu and Hagen just risked their lives to pull off will now be up in the air. Those two are men who could have done it if they were given the chance to tell everyone of all the wicked things that the hero has done so far. But then Hagen would have been killed and in addition to that, the hero himself would have also made his slip. Hagen would die and Adofu would fail to avenge his relatives. I just can't throw someone whom I've been cooperating with under the bus like that. As long as I beat the hero, everything will come full circle.
Go!
I swing my forefoot down, aiming for the hero's sword. The hero catches my claws with the body of his sword and parries it off to the side. I open my mouth wide and go to chomp down on the hero. Lucent Luna? Countless orbs of light fly out from the hero's sword. I brave through it and push on with my attack. The light bursts into my face. I endure one on my forehead, 2 inside my mouth, 1 on my cheek, and 1 on my neck. Sharp pain shoots through every spot they hit. That's more damage than I thought it would be. Did I underestimate it? Haha.
How do you like that?
This sword is specifically designed for killing evil dragons like you. Seeing me recoil back, the hero repositions his sword. There it is. Using my willpower to endure it, I continue on with my attack.
Go! Wadash?
I succeeded in plunging my fangs into the hero's shoulder. My fangs bore into his flesh and blood gushes forth, spilling into my mouth. With that, I lift the hero's body up into the air. My fangs don't pierce all the way through his body. The inner flesh feels more tough and solid the farther my fangs go into it. When experiencing it like this, it's just as unexpectedly strange as his status. Even though there is such a huge difference between our physiques, I can't even bite through his human skin. I twist my neck and violently slam the hero against the ground, literally using my head. The surface breaks into pieces as sand is thrown up into the air. Damn it, you! I twist my neck back and continue to pummel him into the ground.
Gah!
This hurts me as well, but my HP far exceeds his. I'm top class when it comes to enduring injuries. Just when I was about to pound him into the earth for a third time, my fangs flew off into the air. The hero, who had now dislodged himself, jumped back. He landed on his feet while staggering. Resta! Resta! The knights who were around where he landed yell out to him. Are you alright, Sir Irushia? The knights seem puzzled as to how to deal with the hero, but they don't really look like they'll turn their swords on him either. There's quite a bit of commotion coming from all around, but even so, exterminating a dragon takes top priority. It seems certain that if I lose this, then everyone from here on out is going to be deceived. However, it won't be good for them if they interfere with this fight. No matter how many ordinary people come at me, it won't be a challenge. Just like when Hagen came and attacked me, I can easily incapacitate them while being careful not to take their lives. But this time, things are different. Thanks for your help. The hero said so in an unnatural manner, then turned his face towards me with a sly grin curling up on the edges of his mouth. He's going to use his own knights and companions as meat shields. It's going to be difficult to attack the hero without getting the knights dragged into this in some way. That hero got a nice, hard look at my skills. He's probably making preparations based on what he's seen of my personality.